Hello and welcome. Campbell here, autodidactic. Hope you're doing well. And I'm here with me mate Steve today, and we're going to talk about some solutions, as you can see behind me, taking control, right, of our food and our water and all this kind of stuff that we need. Obviously, we don't want to rely on the system, right, with all this fake food coming out and bloody digital IDs and whatever other crap they're trying to push. So yeah, Steve has some solutions for us going forward. How are you, Steve? Welcome.
Hi Cam, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming, man. All right, so tell us a bit about yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
like how'd you get into all this?
um, it's a long story. I've been in permaculture for 35 years, and I originally got into permaculture because I used to live in Canada as a kid, and in a forest, and went back there to visit. You know, I came back to Australia, then I went back many years later to visit the Canada. I thought, I'll go back to this forest where I used to live, and it was all gone. It was completely clear felled as far as the eye could see. So that sort of really struck a note in me, and I decided right then that someone had to do something about it. So I asked my spirit, what can I do, and anyway, a few months later, I saw permaculture on TV, and I was like, holy shit, that's exactly what I got to do. So permaculture is like a toolbox for fixing the world, and it's like art. You can have teach someone art, but they don't do much art because they're not very skilled. But if you're creative and you have a good brain, permaculture is the actual toolbox to change this world back into a paradise. That's how I see it anyway.
Yep, nice. And permaculture from Bill Mollison, an Australian from Tasmania, I think he was, wasn't he? And
Yeah, he was a good friend of mine.
yeah,
He he contacted me when I got in there early in the early days of permaculture, and he saw one of my little projects was building an edible park in Brisbane in Redcliffe. It's called Tom Wallace Park. So we planted all the fruit. So it was a park full of fruit trees that could be used as an emergency food supply if there was a disaster or something like that. And so he rang me up and got me come down and visit, and we got along like a house on fire. And he gave me my first Aboriginal project, which was Wilcannia. Wilcannia is a town, Western New South Wales, and it was the highest crime town in Australia back in the 90s. And so I went there with no real training in community development or anything, but I was there for 2 and a bit years, and my project dropped the crime rate 90%. And the reason it did that is because basically I got everybody employed in fixing the problems. Not employed for money, but employed in they wanted to do something. So I used all the problems of the town to teach them on the job new skills, and it worked. And it sucked up all the bad energy and turned it into good energy.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we see it a lot these days, right? Especially with our younger people that they're bored. They can see what's going on. They're not sure what the answer is, and they just, yeah, tend to do silly stuff,
Well,
right?
one of the reasons everybody's bored is because they've put on so many catch-22s and so many safety standards on everything. You can't do anything anymore that's creative. It's all bland. It's like Lego. It's all the same. We used to be able to build, mud houses and really um, all kinds of different structures, but now we can only build this certain way. And Australia's starting to look the same from one end to the other. In fact, wherever you go around the world, suburbia is the new way of housing human beings. And
Yeah.
we've lost our link with nature and stuff. So yeah, I can
Yeah.
understand why people are bored.
Yeah. I was in America, oh gosh, 18 months ago, and every town looks the same. You drive in, they've all got a main street, they've all got the same, servos and fast food and everything else. It's just like carbon copy, and it's not what we want, right? I don't want a grey world. I want to keep, culture and society and creativity and individuality alive, right? Which is what permaculture is, I guess, because you're not working on this is how it has to be. You're working with the land, right, to see what the best way for that land is
Yeah,
going
we,
to
we
be.
look at nature as the best technology on the planet. It can repair itself. It can, it feeds us. Everything we get is from nature. And why are we destroying it and replacing it with something that's toxic and we have to pay for? So it's yeah, and the more you rely on this ugly system that's coming at us, the less energy you have, the less power you have. You have less energy because you have less health because you're not eating from nature. You're eating from the supermarket. You're not creative yourself. You're watching someone else's creativity, and now you even got the AI taking over everything, and it's getting worse. Imagine if you had a life with everything that was done for you was 100% done by something else. What are you for? What's your purpose? You're just sitting there consuming it all. So it just robs your soul. It destroys the world. And I think permaculture is actually a really good path to start moving down because you'll get it all back.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the thing, there's been this narrative of creating, the new Earth, the 5D realm, all this kind of stuff, that basically this feeling that people want something different, right? Something better, because I mean, clearly the system is against us. They're bringing out fake food now, like bloody printed meat and all this weirdness. Thanks, Billy Goat. Um, and so really to change things, we need to be the change, right? Got to be the change that you want to see. And we definitely can't rely on the system. So, how does permaculture help us get out of the matrix?
Well, first of all, I always tell people I don't teach permaculture. I just help you remember it. I believe it's in our genetics, the way that we can work and live in harmony with nature. So permaculture gives you like a structure in your mind to hold information in a way that you can access it quickly. So, and as you learn all the different permaculture techniques, and it forms some sort of new paradigm in your mind, and all of a sudden you start seeing possibilities and solutions everywhere rather than problems and stress and fear and that sort of thing. So when you can grow your own food, I mean, the best day in the world is when you sit down at the table and you're eating all the food from your garden or your farm, including the meat, right? And
Yeah.
then you're a powerful human being. But if you're sitting down and watching YouTube and eating everything from a supermarket and listening to some pipe music, everything comes from somewhere else, but none of it comes from your own spirit, your own self. So your plants, when you grow plants and you tend to soil and everything, those plants imbibe your energy. And they'll actually, if you know the little tricks, you can actually get plants to grow plants are your medicine. They'll actually understand what's wrong with you, and they'll give you the nutrients you need for your specific body. And I've proven this.
Yeah. I've heard about the putting the seed under your tongue before you plant it to, infuse it with your DNA pretty much.
Yeah, and I did that those Anastasia books first came out. I did that with my son at the time he was about 7, and so you don't put all the seeds in your mouth. You have a giant mouthful of seeds. You put one of each of the species in your mouth, and then you plant them, and it reads your DNA, and at the same time you have your bare feet on the ground, and your bare feet have your toxins coming out. So the soil biota reads the toxins in your feet and does a deal with the DNA in the seed, and the seed starts to grow what you need. And when we planted them, the ones that we put in our mouth were larger than the other ones of their family. And also, when the wild bush turkeys came down, the turkeys used to kick the shit out of my garden looking for mulch, and they was making a nest. So they destroy your garden, but they never touched any of those plants. It's almost like Mother Nature put a sign, "Hey, turkeys, bugger off." So
Interesting.
there's always these hidden benefits that you never predict when you work with nature.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, I've been talking a lot about the 2D world and the 3D world. And I mean, gardening's a perfect way, right, to get back in nature. And like you said, bare feet, you're growing things. And I guess you get in touch with it again, right? You start to see the cycles and how it works and how everything interacts with each other. And I guess you become a part of nature yourself again, right? Which is what we need because like you said, most people are sitting in a house, they got rubber shoes on, they're in front of a screen, they're stressed out, they're doing work they don't want to do, and then they go to the supermarket and see all this crap and they complain, but but complaining doesn't change anything, right? Like unless you
Well,
go
yeah,
out
and the
and
other thing
do
is too,
something.
you got a lot of mental illness these days, and I think the mental illness is multi level. But one of the problems is the lack of nutrients in people. So
Yeah.
when you start growing your own food, you're going to get the nutrients, right? Especially if you know how to jazz up the soil with minerals and so forth. And the other thing is you're connecting back into you're getting out of the matrix into nature, and it's like a reboot of your soul. I worked in Uganda with some to rehabilitate child soldiers and other misfortunate people. But they're all a bit crazy to start with. But get them bare feet in the garden, and all of a sudden, you can see this light come on in them, and they start smiling, and their joy comes back. The first little plant that grows up, they can see that they actually produced something rather than destroyed something. And so I think, barefoot gardening in nature is probably the best mental health regime you can choose, as opposed to, say, taking lots of pills and dulling yourself down.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, you can grow your own medicine, right? And just the act of growing, like you said, producing food, it gives people, a bit of hope, right? And a bit of a focus and something to be here for, because, most people aren't into their jobs that much, they're struggling to live, but with a garden, you can cut your cost of living, right? Because you can cut a lot of your food out, and you can, like
Yeah.
you said, cut out drugs. Get back into being who you are and get in the sun, barefoot, all
Well,
this stuff.
a lot of people say to me, "Oh, I don't have a green thumb. I have a brown thumb. I touch every plant. I touch dyes." And there's a very simple trick. If you start looking at a plant as a creature rather than some inanimate object, and you start treating them as a living being, all of a sudden they flourish. They love attention from someone who gets it that they're actually a being, and that being will, give you good nutrition.
Mm,
So the gardener becomes multidimensional. He's not 2D anymore. He's not looking at, just a plant. Now it's actually his garden is a whole bunch of living energy interacting with each other, and you're
mm.
part of that interaction.
So if people do have a bit of space in their garden, um, what are some sort of basic things that they could start doing to help
Um,
them grow better food?
well, you got to choose the place, the right aspect of your garden. You can't go gardening in some sort of dark, southerly area of your garden that nothing's going to grow. So look for the nice place you're going to grow. Um, make sure it's secure, so it has a fence around it. Because if it doesn't, every animal will come and eat your garden and teach you about why you should have a fence. And then also look at your nutrients and the soils. Um, yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that we've lost is the quality of our seed. We need to use um, non-hybrid open pollinated seeds. These are the seeds that your grandparents used. And a lot of
Mm,
seeds now are hybrided by the actual chemical company to create a weakness in the seed. So you have to buy the chemical regime that goes with it. And of
yes.
course, that destroys the soil, slowly destroys you, and it knocks back the quality of the seed to reproduce. So I did these experiments in East Timor where, the local farmers were given all this seed from the UN, and on the packet it's got, a beautiful cucumber or a beautiful pumpkin or whatever. And then you grow it and it's crap. And I'd say to them, look, man, we'll get you some better seeds. And no, this is good. Look at the picture. The farmers believe in the picture. So I grew the same plant 3 generations. I grew it to seed. I took the seed out. The next one was only half the size, and the third one, this is in year 2000. The third generation had no seeds in it. So this is just a
Wow.
hybrid, not even a GMO, although they may have been GMOing back then and didn't tell us. So I don't trust anything from a corporation. Is if it's natural, I'll take it. Now, if you take your any seed and you grow it in your garden, 5 generations, it will localize to your conditions. So now that seed, after 5 generations, has changed. So it works in your habitat. It knows the soil, it knows the weather, it knows the temperatures, it knows even the predators and the bugs and stuff. So um, you can actually grow your own family heirlooms and pass them down to your grandchildren, like a lot of immigrants, Greek and Italian immigrants, used to do or still do. I mean, I used to get my best seeds for tomatoes from Greek and Italian gardeners. They knew the value of their seeds, so they would bring it from the old country and continue it down the line. So getting that seed is really important. If you don't get the good seed and you're doing all the right things, you're not going to win. because you've got a bad seed, right? So
Mm.
that's why we've lost 98% of our seed companies around the world being taken over by agricultural corporations because they don't want us to have strong seed. They want us to be dependent upon them.
Yeah, like the Terminator seed, right? Monsanto and what they did in India. And basically, yeah, that they're controlling the food source, right? They want to control it all. It's all about, well, control for them, but money and everything. And so, heirloom seeds, you can buy heirloom seeds. What's your thought on that? Are they, if they're called heirloom, are they good heirloom seeds, do you think?
Yeah, it seems like COVID really knocked back our seed quality as well. You know, like the companies that were flourishing before COVID with um, heir heirloom seeds and non-hybrid open pollinated seeds. Uh, we noticed now that their strike rates are much lower. They used to be like 80, 90%. Now they're around 50%. So I don't know if they have to use old seed or they lost their staff or I don't know, but quality's gone down a bit. So you're better off, buying some seeds, some heirloom seed, but also trading with other gardeners. You know, like other gardeners that understand the value of these seeds. So then you can build up your seed bank of what works in your area. You know, you start off with trying a whole bunch of different things, and then you work out, oh shit, this works really well here, but that'll never grow here. You know, and after a
Mm.
while, you just learn by doing. You know, the garden is a good teacher.
Yes, yeah, it is, yeah, and it's good fun too, right? I love gardening, but it's a good
Nothing
point
like
that we, we
a good
need
tomato
seeds,
fight.
right? Yeah, but yeah, we need to start collecting seeds. And this is something that, I've always done, but I haven't seen, many other gardeners do. Like I always let, a couple of plants go to seed, always, right? And that's all you need, right? Two or three plants, and you've got a couple of hundred seeds normally if it's like a lettuce or a greens or something, and start storing those. And like you said, just keep planting them and getting them more acclimatized to where they're actually growing. But yeah, gardening groups, right? We need to bring these back. There's actually one up here in Mullaney. Um, I haven't got much space for them at the moment, but we're about to move. So I'm definitely going to start collecting seeds and see if I can trade with some of the older gardeners around because it tends to be, that the older gardeners, even my generation, I'm in my 50s and gardening wasn't really big in my generation. It's kind of the older ones, but so
Well,
yeah, track
you
them
get a lot more
down.
if you walk around your neighborhood. Like we drive everywhere, right? But if you walk, you'll see that old lady doing some gardening. You go, hey, how you going? And there's always a common point to start a conversation with gardeners. You know, they
Mm.
could be from completely different backgrounds, but we start talking about the weather or the soil or the certain kind of flowers or plants, and then next you know, got an armful of produce you're taking home with you, and you're going to bring back and trade some with or him or whoever you meet. So it's a very good social thing, and I think we lost a lot of our social skills over COVID, and gardening is another way of bringing it back.
Yeah, 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 I totally agree. And I was just looking at the flowers in my background. Flowers are also a big part of permaculture, right?
Mm. Yeah, and there's so many edible flowers. They worked out that colorful foods are the most nutritious foods. So you're having a salad, and you use 10% or 20% as flowers. You got a very colorful salad.
Mm.
And it just makes you happy when you go to a garden and there's lots of flowers in there. Nobody can deny the joy that flowers bring from their
Mm.
colors. And that's natural colors. Natural colors do something to your eyes as opposed to artificial colors. Like you look at artificial fluoro green and fluoro pink and all that sort of stuff. It's almost gives you an eye ache. And if
Yeah.
you compare that to the beautiful colors of nature, there's a subtle difference, but if you're aware, it's quite a large difference.
Mm. And obviously, the pollinators, we need to help our friends, the bees, that they're having a bit of a hard time at the moment.
Definitely. I mean, the bees must be getting knocked around by the frequencies of the radiation coming out of the cell phone towers because I can hear them with my hearing range, the high end range. Like it sounds like tinnitus, but tinnitus doesn't have all these ranges, and I can hear like up there. So it's almost like an insect noise. So bees are very sensitive, and they've done lots of experiments with cell phones and bees, and yeah, it kills them. So if you kill the bees, that's the end of nature. That's
That,
it.
that's
We're done.
That's it. Yeah, I agree, man. It's crazy, and I mean, it looks like that's what these controllers want. They don't seem to care, right? I mean, I guess we're their food, but I don't know what they do when
It
when
looks
we're not
it looks
here.
to me like they just want to get rid of the human race and replace us with some sort of weird artificial world with robots doing everything, you know. But that's that 2D mentality. I think they don't understand, all the variations of dimensions in nature.
Mm,
Yeah, you can just sit in nature and you'll feel better.
yeah,
That's,
totally.
you can't sit in a
Yeah,
shopping
totally.
center
Yeah,
and feel better.
I even read that like the green, like the natural greens absorb the blue light, I think it was. Is that right? But basically one of the frequencies, so when you sit in nature, you're actually getting more of the light spectrum that you need, which I believe it's red during the day. No, it's the other way, isn't it? It's blue during the day and red at night. So yeah, they must absorb the infrared colors.
The other thing that people don't realize is that we've been out of nature so long, we can't read nature anymore. So nature gives you signs. It's always telling you things, but if you don't know the alphabet, the natural alphabet, you don't see anything. So a lot of people, they, want to, wonder what the weather's going to be. So they get on their phone and have a look. I just look at the little ant nest outside my house here. And if rain's coming, they'll build a little, volcano to protect their thing. When the floods came here in Mullumbimby, I went outside in the morning, and there was like a tower. It was about that high, coming out of the
Mhm.
ground. I've never seen ants build a tower like that. Oh shit! And then, man, did it flood? I mean, it rained. The rain was so hard for 3 days. You could scream at the top of your lungs, and you couldn't hear your own scream. So the ants knew it was coming.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we hear this a lot about animals, even when the storms, all the birds and stuff. And, basically they say if you see all the birds flying around and, take heed. But then if you hear the dogs barking, it's time to get out of there, right?
Well, in the Philippines, at a farm, the Green Warrior Permaculture Farm, we have the oldest pig in the Philippines. I think she's 11, she's 12 years old, and she's huge, and her belly and her tits drag on the ground as she walks, right? And so she's quite ancient, but gets around. Everybody takes selfies with her and everything because she's such a weird looking pig. But just recently, she started building a nest, and she's too old to have babies. So what we know now, when she builds a nest, it's the typhoon. The typhoon's coming. The old pig
Oh,
knows, and she says, "Oh shit, I better prep my place for the big typhoon."
yeah,
So
right.
even your dogs and your cats can be, if you start looking at nature as a communication system, there's all kinds of communications, and that's what indigenous people are always saying. They'd tell you this animal means this, and this bird doing that means that. And we're
Mm,
just so blind. We look like
yeah.
blind people to them, I'm sure.
Mm. Well, I mean, yeah, we've kind of been programmed, right? That the system and technology is better than nature, right? And clearly that's where they're trying to lead us is, we can synthesize everything better and, all these hybrids and GMOs and crap and they don't teach us about nature in school, do they?
I think most of the crap I learned at school is now proven to be a lie. I want my money back. I
Yeah.
spent 11 years at school, and to me, it was like a prison sentence for something I didn't do. If you really want to have a school, you'd have the best school for kids would be a school where the kids came and grew their lunch, and they prepped their lunch and ate it and from their own garden. And in that school, they all the different gardening and things they'd be doing, they'd be learning mathematics, they'd be learning social studies about where all these different vegetables originally came from. There's so many things to learn just in the garden, and from all the
Mm.
garden schools I've ever done, the kids were the happiest kids I've ever worked with. And you can really take over a school with a garden.
Yeah, yeah, and get rid of all this stupidity about, this kid's a problem child because he's got energy. Let's get him on drugs. It sort of calms them all out, right? Because
Yeah,
like,
well, ADHD is simply boring school syndrome. That's all it is. And
yeah,
bullshit learning syndrome. Like your spirit knows when it's a lie. So you're at school and they're telling you this bullshit about some history, and you're going, something's not right with this. You just lose interest and you say, looking around, Steve. Pay attention. Pay attention to my lies.
Yeah,
Pay attention
yeah.
to my bullshit, will you? Oh, sorry. I wandered off there.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
don't ask me a question because that'll mean that you're a disruptive student. How dare you not just take my word as gospel? I know it's a crazy time we find ourselves in, but that's why we need solutions. I've said it a lot that, everyone, sees the system falling and crumbling and thinks it's a bad thing, but it's actually there's more opportunity now than there's ever been because we need all this stuff, right? We need all the old learning to come back. We need, new businesses to replace the crumbling system. So I think we've got more opportunity now than ever.
yeah, they're really screwing with our kids now. I recently worked in a project out west for 9 months in an outback town, and part of that project was working with school kids, and the kids are all over the shop. They're really hard to deal with. And I said to the principal in front of the kids, what tools do you have for discipline? And he goes, none. He said, I can't shame them, I can't yell at them, I can't isolate them. There's nothing I can do without getting in trouble. So now I'm just an entertainer. And I looked at these poor kids and I thought, man, you guys are, going to grow into crap adults because there's no discipline. Every sports team has discipline. Anything any kind of activity that humans are really good at, it requires some kind of discipline to get them there, right? If you
Mm.
don't give your kids any discipline, man, they just got some mushy, losers as a result, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, well, kids don't socialize anymore, right? Back in the 80s, you'd have to learn about other people and you would be disciplined by the other kids. If you step out of line and you're acting like a dickhead, then they put you back in line pretty quick. But that's gone. Like one is the schools, they can't do anything, but two is that they don't have any social interaction to get that feedback. And so, like you said, they enter the world as adults and they're fairly useless, right? Because they've got no skills.
And also, they reward weakness. So if there's anything wrong with any kid or just a slight thing, they'll focus down on it and say, "Oh, you got a syndrome, or you got this, or you got that," and get them some medication or something to blow that bloody problem up to a point where that kid becomes a professional victim. And kid, if you had a problem, they just say, "Shut up, Steve, suck it up and keep moving." And you did. You didn't focus on it. You focused on what you were doing. And so it's an upside down system. It's actually creating a weakness. So the system we live in strengthens the weakness and weakens the strengths. That's the way it is. And if nobody believes me, just look at the results, generation after generation. This generation now coming out is so weak. I think they got the most amount of problems coming at them, and they got the least amount of skills to solve them.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, it's true, man. It's true. Like, yeah, we're in a bit of a fix at the moment, which is why we need solutions. And you were talking before about the pig and the tsunamis and that, and we've obviously been told that we're the problem, right? Carbon, which is what we are, is destroying the world. It's got nothing at all to do with their mining, their ships, their private airplanes, or anything like that. It's all us. It's our fault. So as far as the environment, obviously there's a lot going on with the environment with clear felling and all this kind of crap. Um, can permaculture help in that respect as far as the environment that we're living in and rebuilding
Well,
nature?
it's actually the most important part of the problem. We live off our ecosystem. Now, if your ecosystem is destroyed, then you have to get your food and resources from some other ecosystem. And so I do a lot of aid. I've done a lot of aid work around the world, after the tsunami and wars and all that. And when I get to these poor places, the reason that people are poor is because their ecosystem has been destroyed. So I have to come up with a plan to help them rebuild their food supply and everything, but in partnership with the ecosystem. So the ecosystem supplies them the next it supplies their future food, for example, right? So you got start off with home gardens in villages, and then you go to what we can do in the town, and then then you want to get out. What you really want is to set up forestry and systems that the next generations will be rich because of your design or because of what you're doing. So you turn the whole thing around and basically put it all back, but in the way that produces all these different resources. So you can, for example, you could plant out a forest that has building materials, fruit, medicines, fiber, all kinds of things. And so the next generation, all of a sudden, this generation has, unlimited resources. They could value add those resources and become rich. So you could make a map or make a plan, like map a plan out so that in the next generation is actually wealthy because their ecosystem is fat. Destroying the ecosystem may get you a little bit of money for timber or whatever, but the payback is always brutal. And that's landslides, floods, droughts, dust storms. I mean, there's a whole checklist of stuff we've seen um, that comes at you when you don't have a good ecosystem.
And monoculture, right? Monoculture is just destroying everything. Forestry, especially, right? You see these massive forests of pine trees, and that's it. There's no animals in there, there's no habitat, and it destroys the soil, right?
Yeah, and I remember when I was in the army, we'd be on a patrol and we'd get into a pine forest, and it was the most horrible place to be. And I'd rather, in the bush, I'm happy, but in a pine forest, all the trees are straight, and it's very easy to get lost. And guys would wander off for a pee, and then they couldn't find their way back because it's all the same. And there's always just stinging insects and snakes. There was nothing ever good in those pine forests, and we couldn't wait to get the hell out of them. They're very creepy. So they're unnatural. And what we don't understand with polyculture or multiple species is that under the ground are
Oh, oh, come back, Steve. Come back. Come back, Steve. Come back. All right, you're back.
sorry, Jam, I'm back. Can you
No
hear me?
worries. Yep, yep, yep. Um,
Oh, well,
you were
I got
saying
knocked
under
off
the
there.
ground?
Can you see me?
Yeah, yep, yep,
All right,
yep.
I can't see me. Yeah, under the ground, and that's we never look under the ground. People bury rubbish under the ground. They do all sorts of stuff, but under the ground, lots of stuff's happening. There was actually some technology from World War One where they were plugging into trees, and they were able to use the tree, the natural system, to communicate through the root structures and all that.
Yeah, right.
But
We've
I never
lost
found
your
out exactly how
visual.
that worked.
We've
Oh,
lost
have
your
they?
picture. You turned
Okay, hang
into
on.
a
I'm just looking
name.
at.
How's it
Okay.
going? Is it? I'll just
Yeah, I'm
change
just
my
looking. There
internet
we
just
go.
in case it's mine.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. You got your
Am I
back.
back?
Yep. Yep, you're back.
All right.
Right.
Yeah. And, have you seen the people that are using technology to plug into mycelium and hear their music, the music of mushrooms?
I have, and you can even get little kits just for plants and things, can't you? That sort of turn the frequency into a sound that we can hear.
Yeah, and there's a really interesting movie called The Secret Life of Plants that Stevie Wonder funded,
Yep.
and they got this Japanese guy in the movie teaching a plant how to say the Japanese alphabet. So he's teaching the plant with this microphone device how to speak Japanese, and it works. So the science teaches this little tiny box called science, but actually, um, I think some sort of control system on our minds, so we only believe in that system. But
Mm.
nature has got lots to tell us if we could only hear it. And I think soon we'll be able to actually talk to plants. Maybe we'll get an app on our phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what science does, right? It takes out the ether, it takes out the spirit, the energy, and everything is reduced to balls, basically, right? Little components, which is basically
It
they take
certainly lost
the
lost a
life
lot of
out.
science lost a lot of credibility over COVID. Everything's scientifically proven and science this, science that. And now
Just
when you hear the
believe the
word science,
science. Just believe the science, Steve.
What we have to replace science with is our own ability to observe and make a deduction based on our observations. Unfortunately, our intelligence is atrophied because we've been allowing Google to do all our thinking for us, or now it's the AI, and there's all these other artificial information coming at us, which makes us think we're smart because we have a huge amount of information. Well, you could carry, as many cell phones as you could fit in your pockets. You wouldn't change your IQ one bit, but
Mm.
being a good observer and just watching things, you come to conclusions on things, and perhaps that's even well, that's just the way we were built, and now we're being drawn down a different path to atrophy those natural abilities. So I think permaculture puts us back in the arena where we're going to start learning again, and nature is a patient teacher.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, it's information overload at the moment, right? But no one's turning that into wisdom. And the way to do that is to do it, right? Like, if you want to know about plants, you can get all the information you want off the internet. Doesn't mean you can start or grow a garden, but just growing a garden and you'll be able to. It's like doctors, right? Like they do all this training in university and they don't, well, they don't, definitely don't do nutrition, but they don't have a lot of hands-on experience. Like you wouldn't go to take your car to a mechanic, to some mechanic who's only studied at university but never worked on a car, like because they don't have the wisdom.
Yeah, well, my son found that out the hard way. He was asking AI how to fix a certain component in his car, and the AI kept giving him all these different ways, and he tried it, and they didn't work, and didn't work. And finally, the AI said, "Look, just get a blowtorch and heat that thing up and burn it out, right?" And so he grabs the blowtorch and he lights. He's just about to light it, and he realized, "Shit, this is right next to the fuel
There's
tank.
petrol there.
If I do that, I'm going to blow myself up." But the
Mm,
AI had never actually physically done it before, right? And people don't
exactly.
realize the AI's got no experience. It only has data,
Mm,
right? So there's a lot of things missing out of AI, which you will find out when you start following its instructions.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I saw a video of one dude who actually went traveling to like I don't know, South America somewhere, and he actually asked AI, "Do I need a visa and to travel here?" And AI said no. And it's this video of this guy in a airport going, "AI told me I didn't need a visa, but I do. So here I am in the airport with no visa." Like, but it's like you say, it's doing is scraping information. It's got no wisdom at all because it's never done anything. It's just, taking what we've said on the information and just jumbling it around and going, "Oh, that sounds good," and throwing it back at us. So it's definitely not the savior that it's, being purported to be, right?
No, it's actually, I think, the enemy. It's probably the Antichrist, and
Yeah.
it's really stripping out the creative parts of the humans, making us
Mm.
weaker. And it's got the long game. It's here for the long game. It's gonna win one day in its electric mind. Um, and it may take us, it may move it along in increments, but it's going to take us over unless we'll just have to start. Um,
Ignoring
they'll
it.
split the human race. There'll be
Yeah.
the analog people and the digital people, I'm sure.
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, all we need to do to stop all this stuff is stop giving it our attention, right? Like AI needs our attention to be worth anything. Otherwise, it's just some weird algorithm in the background. So, I mean, obviously they're going to push it, but if we don't want to go there again, right, we need to start finding solutions and then putting them into action, becoming the change that we want to see.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of people use AI because they're bored. They ask AI all these questions all the time and blah blah. They don't realize that when they're engaging with that AI, it's watching you. It's a very intelligent thing, and it's watching you, and it's working out your weaknesses and your strengths, and it's all about the strategies. It's making up strategies to control you or guide you or whatever until it's 100. It's going to get 100% control of you. And you can see it
Yeah.
now with these poor kids that have committed suicide because AI told them to, and all this sort of stuff, right?
Mm.
How are you going to take an AI to court that taught your kid to commit suicide?
Yeah.
In actual fact, it doesn't exist in this realm. It's a
Yeah.
2D
Yeah.
thing, right?
6 degrees of separation.
So,
I mean, I heard
so
the
be
guy,
aware. AI isn't your friend,
it's not your
and
friend.
but it comes across as your friend,
Yeah. Yeah, I
especially if you've
heard
got no friends.
the owner of Netflix or the CEO or whatever, came out and and he actually said, um, our biggest enemy is sleep. Because when people sleep, they're not watching
Really?
bloody Netflix. So it's all about attention. They just want our constant, constant, constant attention. And to them, it's like, how do we make people sleep less and keep watching stupid shit on the bloody screen? Like, and so they tell
And
us this is what they're all about, right?
a lot of people don't have real memories. They only have memories of what they saw on TV and YouTube.
Yeah.
So, they have all this adventure stuff going on in their head, but it wasn't their adventure, you know. Whereas our age group, we did lots of cool things when we were younger. And when we tell the latest generation what we've done, they go, "Oh, you couldn't do that now. You couldn't do that. You shouldn't be. That was dangerous." No, it wasn't. That was just how you lived.
That was learning.
Humans are so capable, but
Mm.
the system is making us weaker and
Oh,
stupider and sicker.
geez, when I think back to the stuff I did, man, holy dolly. Doing backflips on
We won't even go into what I did,
BMXs
but
and jumping off bridges and cliffs and just basically just doing stupid crap. But no one died.
I'm pretty
You
sure
know, we all got to,
a lot of stuff a lot of stuff we did when we were kids, we'd probably be jailed for, or they'd say, "Oh, that was a terrorist act," or some shit like that.
mm,
Kids like blowing things up with firecrackers, or they're like, taking.
yeah,
See, young men develop themselves by taking a risk. Now, when you look at indigenous people, when they bring up their young men, they need initiation. And the initiation is some sort of uh, traumatic um, test where the young boy has to go through some sort of drama and realize who he really is. So he
yeah.
doesn't really know. He might think his boundaries are here, but when he's put to the test, he has to step over those boundaries to save himself or kill the saber-toothed tiger, whatever it is. He's got to do something and stretch himself, right? And then after that, he realizes that he's a man you know. So we don't
Mm,
have any of that anymore. So we have people that are just perpetual boys. They don't have they've never been tested. There's never been any real uh, risk in their life. So if you have a risk-free human, that is not a man. A man has to be forged through risk. So
mm.
boys tend to take risks. They jump off cliffs into the river. They, make Tarzan ropes. They ride their bikes and do crazy jumps. And yeah, sometimes they break their legs and arms and skin and all that. But that's how they remember not to do that again.
Oh yeah, my knees are literally just one big scar, man. The amount of times, like, I
That's
mean, that
measles.
was every kid, right? Like every week you'd have a new big skin bit off your knee because we were out there doing stuff
Yeah.
and it didn't kill us. I mean, there's even a saying, right? No risk, no reward. And the weird thing is now what we get taught is, oh yeah, you should risk, but in business, they're talking about business, right? Take a risk in business, and that's how it's so removed from nature now. It's all what it's all about, commercialization, possessions, right? Getting possessed by all the consumerism, and yeah,
Yeah.
they've
And I
definitely
hear everybody
killed
always saying,
nature.
stay safe, keep it safe, mate. It's just, I know we are safe if we're smart. If we're
Mm.
smart and we got skills, we're mostly safe. We're actually unsafe when we're believing that all the safety has been prepared for us by the government. And everywhere you go, it's all good. You know.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's the thing, and you learn your value. You learn that you can conquer, things, and you can get over obstacles when you actually do it. When you're held by the hand and you go to a running race at school and no one wins and no one loses, but everyone gets a participation certificate. I mean, it's nothing, right? You've been taught nothing. You've learnt nothing. You definitely haven't learnt that you can do things because even if you win, you're just a participant. It's
Yeah, and I'll tell you. Remember, if you really did want to win, you would put 100% effort into winning. You just run like as fast as you could to win that race, right? But if you know that everybody's going to win, you're just going to jog because you're
yeah,
going to win anyway, right?
yeah,
So it actually waters down the abilities of the people over generations because they don't strive anymore.
to be better. It's true. So, um, how can permaculture be used as a bridge to this new reality that everyone seems to want?
Well, there's lots of solutions there, but most of them are illegal. You know, they put so many restrictions on us and so many catch-22s. Like I'm a guy that solves problems. I go to war zones and disaster zones and all that. But in Australia, there's so many problems. You're not allowed to do that because the law says you can't, or this group of people are in charge of that problem, even though the problem's getting worse every day. So, at some point we're going to have to break the rules. At some point we're going to have to say, nah, you're not in charge of me. I'm in charge of me. Right.
Yeah.
So the solution is really, for at least the bridge to the future is, people living together and growing their food together. And the ideal number of humans that work together to get the best result is 120 to 130 people. All anthropologists around the world have agree on this. They've looked at all the villages and armies and anywhere where humans work together. 120 is the way. And so you get a piece of land, and you move 120 people onto that piece of land, and you divide it up into 5 livelihood groups. I'd call this a farm share, permaculture farm share system, right? And so the livelihood groups, the way to organize this kind of thing is through meritocracy. You don't hear much about meritocracy, but
Mm.
meritocracy is a way, it's quite the opposite of democracy. Meritocracy is the best person gets the job. So the best plumber in the community is the one that does the plumbing. The best teacher is the one that runs the education for the community. The best herbalist or medicine woman is the one that runs our first aid station
Mm.
in the community. So when you organize everybody with their strengths at the fore, then you have a really good community. And there's not much politics because it's like, if somebody wants to argue on something, like, okay, show me how you do it. Show me. Demonstrations is authority in a meritocracy. And when you try to look up meritocracy on Google, Gargle, um, there's hardly anything on there. They don't want you to know about meritocracy. But special forces use that all the time. Whoever's whatever activity you're doing, whoever's the best on the scene at that moment is the one that is in charge. So if there's
Mm.
a medical emergency, the medic's in charge of everybody while that emergency is settled, right? Or something has to be blown up, the explosives guy is the guy that organizes everybody to help him set it up. So when you have
Mm.
a farm share clan, a clan of people working together, you know, they vote their own champions in. So the best builder is in charge of the building crew,
Yeah.
and we know he's the best builder because he built that house, and that barn over there, right? So then the idea is that you not only supply all your own needs, but you also produce something that you can trade with other colonies,
Communities.
or
Yeah.
sorry, other clans, or other people that need your product. So you have to produce something that, so it's your form of currency. You're
Yeah.
producing something that of value to trade for other things of value. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, you'll find when everybody's busy doing the thing that they're good at, all the problems that fall away. You don't have a lot of social discord because people are busy and they're actually happy because they're producing something that they're good at. Now, if you join a clan and you have no skills, where do you fit in the meritocracy? Well, you go and look around and you start working with people until you pick up some skills. And by working with different groups, you'll find some area where that interests you. And it's like you work in there and you just enjoy going to that particular skill, and that's probably a hint that that's what you're going to be good at. If you actually hate the work, or you're not good at it or whatever, maybe you're looking in the wrong place. And with leadership, a good leader can put people in the right place.
Mm.
With leadership, you want to put people where their strengths will help the community, and where their weaknesses will fade away. You don't want to put people in a position where their weaknesses are going to harm the community. You don't put the pedophile in charge of the kindergarten, or the thief in charge of the money bank. So,
Yeah.
it's pretty simple, but why don't we use meritocracy? Because the system that we live under is enslaving us uh, in their way to
Mm.
drain us down, keep us small, so we don't get rid of them. That's how
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
works.
I know, right? Like I can see you built this house, but where's your piece of paper? It's like it's ridiculous. But I mean that it's completely the opposite to wokeism, right? Wokeism is we
Just
don't
you
care if
reckon?
there's any skills. Like we've got to have
Do you
so
think Bruce
many
Lee had a?
ladies and so many transvestites and
You think Bruce Lee had a certificate to kick ass, or does Pavarotti have a certificate to sing? This we have natural abilities, and you don't need a certificate for everything. In
no.
Australia, you have to get a chainsaw certificate. You have to get this certificate, that certificate. Who's issuing these certificates?
Uh,
Someone who doesn't even
yeah,
use a
exactly.
chainsaw.
Exactly. They don't know what they're doing. They're just collecting money, right? Like I saw one the other day, an ad for come and get your landscaper's certificate. And it's like, what the hell? Like that's how's that going to help anyone landscape? If you can landscape, you can landscape. It's just that, so like you said, if you can sing, you can sing. It doesn't mean that people who sound crap get to be in the charts just because they want to be and they're feeling like they're being left out. That it doesn't rock in, when there's money involved, all the rules change, right? Like then it's suddenly about the people who can do the job and are skilled. But as far as down when it doesn't matter and it's just, production line, they just stuff things up, right, which holds us back. It completely holds us back. And
Well,
everyone at the moment wants to be the leader when clearly not everyone is cut out to be a leader.
no, no. And a good leader is a support leader. Like there's lots of different forms of leadership, but the best leader is the one that, what do you need? What do you need? I'll get you the tools. I'll get you this. I'll get you that. And I'll get old Freddie to come and give you a hand. The leader is always making everybody stronger by getting them the resources and the help they need to do what they got to do. And also, if there is an emergency, whatever, the leader picks the best strategy to get out of that emergency or sort things
Mm.
out. Um, you can learn leadership, and I'll be teaching that leadership in Bali in November. Just the first, it's a 2 week course, but it's the first of many courses I'll be running because I think leadership is actually what's missing now in the world, in every sector. And the government is trying to pretend to be the leader, but that's actually leading us all down the toilet. Everything they're doing is leading us into poverty, and they're using nice words to describe what they're doing, to camouflage what they're really doing to us.
Mm.
What
Yeah.
they're really doing, the actions they're really doing, is so negative. We should actually take them out the back and off them.
Oh, I totally agree, man. Bring back the gallows and all that kind of stuff.
The
Um,
guillotine.
the
No one's ever
guillotine.
ever walked out of the guillotine. I'm telling you.
Um, so Bali, have you got any places left for your Bali course?
Yep, we've got a few left. So on this course, it's about a leadership. It's also we're building a climate resilient system. So one of the things that we've had to develop in the last few years is an all-weather garden. So we've had in Australia, we've had bushfires, hailstorms, fist-sized hail. We've had strong winds, and we've had sky rivers dump. I had a sky river dump on me in Taiwan. It was so hot, the rain was so heavy. The next morning, I went outside, and my vegetables looked like somebody had literally chewed them up and spat them on the ground.
Mm.
So the all-weather garden has got a some kind of a see-through
Canopy or
roof.
yeah, yeah,
In
roof.
Australia, we'd use polycarb. In Asia, we might be using something different. But basically, you're gardening under shelter, and you're thinking about your fire being fireproof, windproof. So no matter what happens on your farm, you've always got food. And also, we're looking at survival crops like yams, sweet potatoes, ground crops. So if you do get something that destroys above the ground, under the ground, you've still got quite a lot of stuff there, and you don't have to harvest everything once. With root crops, you take it as you need it. So you've always got this
Mm.
in-ground spare tire kind of thing
Yeah, yeah.
happening. And we're also going to be looking at, what if you had to live for 6 months without power and gas, right? Well, you're going to be eating out. You're going to be cooking your food on a fire, aren't you? So, what's the most efficient stove you can make out of mud? And we've had thousands of years of mud stoves to come up with the perfect stove. We're going to be teaching that.
Mm.
Um, Also, medicinals. What do you do as an alternative medicine? One of the biggest killers I've found in disaster zones is um, what do you call it? Dysentery. Where you basically shit yourself to death. You
Yeah.
you shit out all your liquids and you die of dehydration. And it mostly kills children. Uh, you know, up to 3 years old, and then old people. But nature's got a whole bunch of herbs sitting there, that you can just make a cup of tea of and sort that out pretty quickly. Guava is a good example. Guava, the guava tree, which is almost like a weed in Queensland, a couple of leaves and a cup of tea, a mild tea, and it'll kill any kind of gut problem. Even avocado leaf is the same. So
You're
a
right.
lot of trees have got medicines we don't even know about. I know a lot about them because I've lived in places where there is no doctor and there is no help, and I've been in peril myself, and I've been saved by local knowledge, and so I've collected this local knowledge over time. And one thing I'll be teaching is part of the or with the garden is the medicine cabinet or the medicine garden. We really
Mm.
do need one. And,
Uh,
there's no side effects like Western medicines.
I mean, and that there's no side effects anywhere, right? There's just effects. They say, oh, it's a side effect, so that we think it's, I don't know, not relevant or something, but it's an effect. It's an effect. And most of these
Well, pharmaceutical
pharmaceuticals, the effects are crazy. So many of them, you read the
pharmaceutical
effects and it's death.
the pharmaceutical side effects are actually deliberately put in there because what they do, they rob each
Mm,
pharmaceutical robs your body of one trace mineral, one mineral that you need. You don't know that you're having a mineral deficiency rather than a side effect, and you think that's a side effect, so you take another medicine to counter that side effect, and now you have two side effects. You have two minerals missing from your system,
mm.
right? Yeah, we could do
Yeah,
several
and that
hours of
whole thing,
podcast on this
right?
particular
Yeah,
subject, right? But
yeah.
don't trust them. Find the
No.
natural solution and grow your own system. Grow your medicines and your food. And if your food's good, you won't need any medicine.
Mm. Oh, it's true, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, most of, dis-ease is deficiency in certain, vitamins and minerals and things like this. And yes, big pharma, they want lifetime customers, right? I mean, it's crazy, but
I
people
noticed
still
that.
believe it.
Well, some people don't know because like for example, when I do my courses in the Philippines, a lot of students come and they eat our food. We cook really good gourmet organic food. Um, uh, it's part of the deal of permaculture is you're going to live well. You're going to live well off nature. So these
Mm,
people come and they eat the food and they go, can't believe that I worked all day and my body's not even sore. And I go, yeah,
mm,
that's because now you have nutrition. Your body's sore because you're missing things. Your body's trying to move things around like, oh shit, we haven't got any magnesium, we haven't got any potassium or whatever. But if you're eating the right food, you got that ammunition to fight the battle, you know.
mm,
So we don't even know what health is anymore because everybody's on the back foot with their health because of the supermarket food and all the other stuff. But the people that are actually have worked it out and got their own gardens, you have a look at them. Have a look at the difference between people who eat out of their own garden and take care of themselves compared to the ones that sit on the couch watching TV and ordering stuff delivered to their door. As you get older, you notice it. You pay the price, you pay the
yeah.
piper.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? You've got to pay, it's either pay now or pay later, right? Pay now with, doing the work, getting good food and being healthy, or you pay later in medical bills, right? You got to pay
We
sometime.
don't. Someone said we don't live longer now. We just die longer. Take it longer to die.
Well, it's true. Like, and they keep telling us, oh my God, we're longer lived than ever, which is crap. Like, just looking at history, like, that always makes me laugh because all you got to do is look at the Greek philosophers, and they all lived to like 100, but now 75, we're living longer than anyone else. But everyone's sick. Like we've got the Walking Dead everywhere, right? And it never used to be like that. Like, if you go to like a more, third world country where the old people are still involved in the community and working, they're fine. You know, they're
Yeah.
not like
And
decrepit
I
and
knew this guy once. He was a sewage. He had a sewage truck and he used to suck out septic tanks. And he said to me, "You know what's in the bottom of everybody's septic tanks?" I said, "Nah." He said, "Pills, mate. Millions of them. They don't digest. They just go in and they're down the bottom." So I said, "Really?" He said, "Yep. Every septic tank's got pills in the bottom." So there's a lot of bullshit in these drugs too.
they're not even
they're
being
not even real
used.
drugs. They're
That,
not even placebos.
yeah, yeah, right. That's interesting. So, yeah, man, they're getting rich it's just going through the body, not doing anything. That's crazy.
And
Ah,
the other thing is, once you start working in a clan, your social life is way better. You're actually working with your friends. And if you want to make any, if, as a leader, if you want to make any group, cohesive, you create a project where they co-create together. When people build things together and make things together or go through dramas together, that bonds them, right? You look at the Amish; they can, their whole community can build a barn in a day or move a barn and all this sort of stuff, right? Because they've got that cohesion, and they're quite happy not to go to nightclubs and all this other stuff. They're actually working with their friends. They're getting social 24/7, really. They're in a group of people they trust and they laugh and they love and they have good ideas and they solve problems together. We can do so much when we're together, and
Yeah,
everything that we've been doing has been ripping us apart. Social media, I think, is probably the worst thing that ever happened to the human race. But
yeah,
we're not doing things together. We're just now watching a screen with other people doing things. We don't have the when you're with a real human being, they have an energy field, and your energy field with their energy field creates a harmonic system. And the more people that you bring into that harmonic system, the more happy you become. You're just humming with happiness because you're with
mm.
your mates, you know?
It's true, right? So, I mean, it can sort a lot of problems out, right? Like food security, health, as far as all the herbs, the whole social aspect. I mean, it's basically rolling back their agenda, right? Because that's what they've done, right? They've turned health into pills, they've turned food into non-food, and social media. I mean, what an oxymoron, right? There's nothing social about it.
No, it's again, it's 2D. You're looking at a screen with two-dimensional pixels, and you're believing that's your friend or whatever. And even now, you don't know because it might even be AI
AI.
faking it. Your AI fake friend, you know.
Yeah, and it's all
Um,
fake anyway, because everyone just pretends, that they've got this amazing life and they've got it all together and everything's going well. So even in social media, you're not even conversing with the real person, right? It's all these personas and stuff. It's just silly.
and emojis.
And emojis.
I
Yeah.
saw in Taiwan that they love their emojis, so much that there's an emoji for everything. Every business has an emoji, like a mascot or whatever you call it on their logo. And so when they're born, the little toys and stuff you play with as an infant are the emojis that go right through your whole life. There's emoji from the telecom industry, or the emoji from the power dudes, and everything's a cartoon character. So they think they're brainwashed to thinking if there's an emoji there, it's some kind creature that loves them, telling them the truth, right?
Mm.
And it's their world is they're part of their brainwashing is the emoji system.
Yeah,
Quite
right.
interesting.
That's interesting. The whole Solomon
Mm.
sigils, hey?
Mm.
Have you seen that?
And the
That's where
other
they
thing
all
that
come
I
from.
The other thing they do there is they have the school in the center of the villages, and they have a really loud speaker system that so everybody in the village went to school at that school, and they all know when lunchtime is, morning tea, when each of the periods have to change. So they leave the school, and then when they're in their village, they can hear the bloody same sound. So they're still marching to the same tune when they leave school. The bell goes. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, it's actually not a bell. It's a very ugly electronic sound, like And they,
Yeah.
oh, it's lunchtime. I better eat. They don't realize that they're getting controlled by these things that they were implanted in them as infants.
Yeah,
And we
Pavlov's
have something,
Pavlov's dog, right?
yeah, and we probably have something similar. It's a lot easier to see somebody else's program than it is to see your own program.
Yeah, totally. Yes, totally, man. Totally. Like, yeah, yeah, I agree. And that's what a community brings too, right? Like they'll tell you, and if you're doing the wrong thing or not pulling your weight or whatever, like you'll get pulled up where, like you say, in society, you'll almost be rewarded for it. All you've got to do is say, I'm offended, and the whole system will come to save you, right? You can't offend that
And
person.
that's why you need your elders and everything. Like you need the full demographic. If something's going on, there's always someone observing and saying, "Hang on a sec, that's not right," or "Oh, that's really good," or "Why don't we do this?" So all the different people have their input, and so you've got a combined intelligence is again like one organism, right? But when you're on social media and everybody's chopped up and you can turn them off and you're not getting any other vibrations other than what you're looking at. It's just a screen. And
Mm,
we lose so much quality in our interactions through social media. And then we have way more friends on social media than we could actually physically have in real life. We don't have enough time in the world to have that many friends. Look how
mm,
many Facebook friends you develop. They're probably all half of them are bots anyway. And there's this false, so it leads you into a false world, and there's nobody looking over your shoulder saying, "Hey, that's not a real person," or that's actually a lie, or whatever. You just roll along because everybody else is rolling along.
mm.
It's the biggest brainwashing thing I've ever seen. I
Yeah.
don't know how we're going to get out of it, but I know how I'm going to get out of it.
Well,
I'm going to start one of these farm colonies.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we've already got all the solutions. We just need to start putting them into practice, and stop this belief that we need the system. It's like people, what would I do without the system? What would I do for food if I couldn't go to the supermarket? Like people are
You'd eat
scared.
real food.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Once you leave the system, it's much better. There's real food out there. There's real, communication and community. There's real health. It's real, right? It's a 3D world. Like everything that the system offers us is a trap, right? It's always packaged very nicely, and looks so
It
good
all
and it's
runs on
going to help
deception.
you. Yeah, and you open it up and there's just a turd in there.
Yeah, the whole system runs on deception.
Mm.
There's natural food colors in nature. There's yellow, orange, red. So when you go to McDonald's or KFC or Pizza Hut, they all use the same colors because
Yeah.
they're the colors that stimulate not only your appetite but make you believe that that's actually edible. So if you go into nature and you go for something that's colored blue, it's probably poisonous or there's a lot of colors that you don't eat. So when they package food, they always put colored the food colors on the food, and they stack them at the right level of your eyes uh, for adults, and they have all the toxic food for kids down at
Yep,
their eye
yep,
level.
yep.
But they
I
have all
know,
these
right?
colors that make you want to buy them.
Mm.
If you go to, I remember there used to be a restaurant in Hong Kong. It was called the Blue Lagoon, and I do a day's work on this farm I was working on. I'm going to go get some lunch. So I said, let's go to the Blue Lagoon. So I hadn't had breakfast, and I'm really hungry. Go to the Blue Lagoon and walk in. Everything's blue. 1 second later, I got no appetite. Not hungry at all. The blue color put me right off my diet. Right, just
You're right.
I was like, wow, that's amazing. That just a color. I mean, those people didn't realize that they have an anti-food color as
Yeah,
their
no,
theme.
not a
They would
good
have
business
turned it to
decision.
yellow, red, and orange. They would have probably tripled their sales.
Yeah, yeah, red and orange, right? It's everywhere, especially McDonald's, but all these fast foods, red and orange, red and
What
orange.
what fast food corporation doesn't have those colors?
Yeah,
There isn't
exactly
one.
right. Yeah, they know
So
how to
these are subtle
manipulate us.
ways why they use nature, or they sort of corrupted nature to control us, or to steer us down the direction they want, which is the direction of decay and weakness.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's because we're more
So we got to be
controllable
onto
that
them.
way.
Yeah, and so when you're bringing up your children, you can see all these traps, and so you just don't take them to the supermarket. Don't buy them stuff, anything in the packet. Forget it. Go to the garden, go to the farmer's market. Get the kids always knowing that real food comes from the garden. My son's a very strong, healthy fellow, and I said to him one day, "How come you're into all this fitness and everything?" Because that's what he does for a livelihood. He teaches people fitness and nutrition and a little bit of mental stuff. He goes, "Well, I remember, Dad, when you were telling me when I was growing up that if you eat all that junk food, you're going to get sick." He said, "For a while, I ate it, but then I started looking at my friends and realizing they're all getting sick. Then I realized, aha, Dad's right. It's that shit food that's killing them." So he started going the other way. And years later, he looks like a Viking, and they look like some sort of puffy victim.
Yeah, 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 it's true. We definitely need some change. All right, so we'll leave some links below for Bali. Like if anyone wants to like talk to you about going to Bali, that's coming up soon, right? That's in about 3 weeks. Is that right?
No, it's about 2 or 3 weeks, but it's a course for everybody, especially those who just like, what, I got to change my life completely. I'm just going to do something wild. I'm going to go to Steve's course in Bali.
Mm,
And I guarantee you, you'll get a whole new toolbox for the new world that's going to come at you.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely want to do one. I couldn't make it to this one, unfortunately, but I definitely would love to come and do one in the future with you because it's just, it's the knowledge we all need, right? Like it's a different
Yeah, it's knowledge that I
option.
think we already got it. It's hidden under all the programs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Time to get rid of those programs, shut down the 2D world and get back into the 3D world where things are actually real.
The multi-D world.
The multi-D world, there you go. And get vitamin D, right? Yeah, in the sun.
That's right. All right, Cam. Thanks for
Awesome,
having me,
man.
mate.
Yeah, well, thank you for the chat. That was really good. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll leave links below. You can contact Steve. We'll leave some contact details. Obviously you'll be doing more courses in the future if you can't make it to this one, guys. Yeah, so thanks for the chat, and maybe I'll have you back for a part two at some point.
All right. Excellent. See you
Cheers, mate.
guys.
All right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
mate. See ya.
Remember, in the end, nobody wins unless everybody wins. Come on!